This is the Moshpit Backstage podcast for punk, metal and rock interviews and segments. Now we have our interview guest here. We have Mr. Dan McDougall from Never, formerly of Frankenbach. Dan, welcome to the Moshpit.
Thanks for having me. How are you guys?
We're absolutely great.
I am enjoying this show because I love all types of comedy. So anything that makes people laugh, I'm part of.
Fantastic.
First question, you were here about around this time last year. So can you just give us a quick an update on the past year or so in the band?
Sure. Well, where do we start? It's been a reasonably slow year. We haven't done a great deal of shows. We're actually just about to ramp up our gigs. We'll be doing more shows in the next 2 months than we've done in the last year. So, well, the problem being for us that we're kind of made up of 3 other bands, so we kind of have to fit in between what all the other bands are doing. And they just put out their new album this year, and they've been off touring that, and Frankenbach's about to put out their new album. They've just been recording that and starting to ramp up shows with the new lineup, so we've kind of been a little quiet, but in the meantime we've put out this next EP, Volume 2, with 3 extra songs, and we're just starting recording for the next one now. So, speaking of
being in other bands, I did see, I interviewed Phoebe from Having the Axe, and I know that some of those bands, there was that show you guys did, there was Dreadnought, I think, was headlining, Never was playing, as well as your old band, Frankenbach, and Having the Axe, and I think most of those bands had members like within
They all did.
Yeah, they all did.
That was kind of the point.
That just makes the show so much easier, doesn't it?
Yeah, it was kind of just a big incestuous show for the end of the year, as he used to play guitar in Having the Axe, but not anymore. But and also Red Sky Burial played, which is Jay's other band, who's our singer, and Tommy, the new drummer from Frankenbach's other band, Strick Vincent played. So yeah, every one of the bands had at least another member playing. Two bands, as it played in 3.
I find that happens a lot in like the bands in the local scene here as well.
Yeah,
where you got
pretty
one
much,
bassist,
man. Drummers especially. Yeah, drummers are a rare breed.
My brother's a drummer that plays in 4 different bands.
Yeah, it's pretty much standard.
They go, hey,
standard issue. Yeah, man. They're very rare.
With all those bands on the one night, is it easier or is it actually harder to do that?
Look, it's easy for us because we know everybody in all of those bands. So,
logistically,
yeah, it is kind of easier. I think you kind of all share gear, and you know, there's less people to deal with, less gear to deal with, and because we all know each other, it just makes things a lot easier. So.
Yeah, so you had an EP come out earlier this year.
Yes, we did.
In August, called Volume 2. So what was the creative process and the idea behind it?
Okay, well, we've sort of taken a pretty different approach to how we release our music. I said, well, instead of putting out an album per se, we kind of just been putting out songs in 3s, basically. Yeah. And we do that because, like I said, we've got to fit in between what the other bands are doing, so we've just sort of slot in and out and record whenever we can. But also we're trying to do things a little differently. We don't want to put out an album. We just want to release songs in small little slabs, just so because people's attention span these days is pretty limited. Yeah. And not only that, we're also a relatively new band that doesn't have a great deal of songs. We're probably only just started writing our stuff. So instead of waiting until we had an album's worth of stuff, we're like, well, as soon as we've got 3, let's put them out, and we'll go back in and record them, and just keep things sort of steadily moving along, as opposed to having an album come out, touring it, and promoting it and all that, and then disappearing for a while. We just want to keep a consistent flow of music coming out. So.
Absolutely. And speaking of attention spans and keeping consistent flow of the music, we're going to play a song from your EP Volume 2. It's called Unholy.
Excellent.
But before we do that, did you want to shout out to your gigs that are coming up?
Sure. That's kind of why I'm here. The next show that we're doing in Melbourne is on the 4th of November at the Retreat Hotel. and that's with a band from Queensland called the Black Swamp. So we're bringing them down for a couple of shows. It's part of their new album tour. We're also playing with them in Bendigo on the night after. Who else on that bill? Desert Kingdom's the other band that are playing with us there. So, we'll talk about the other gigs we have after the...
Okay, so Dan will stick around. Can you please tell us can you introduce Unholy? What can you tell us about Unholy?
I don't know. It's pretty rockin' song, I guess. It's pretty upbeat and slightly sort of different to the stuff we'd sort of written previous, and it's just good quality rock and roll, I suppose.
New sounds on Moshpit on Sin.
Absolutely. Unholy by Never. Hit it. Moshpit on Sin, 8 to 11 p.m. Thursday nights on Sin 9.7 FM or streaming on sin.org.au. Unholy by Never there. Now we got Dan McDougall from Never with us still.
Live in the studio.
Absolutely, live in the studio.
Yes, so I have some more questions for you to continue on where we left off. So you have a DIY ethic when it comes to distribution of your music.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, so why is that? What's the idea? Is that like an easy way to get your band name out there?
I wouldn't necessarily call it easy. More fulfilling is what I would call it. Pretty much I've been releasing my own music since I was like 14, since I started. The first demo that my first band ever did was on a tape that we made the covers, and we photocopied them in school and made the little stickers that went on the tape, cassette tapes back then. If you kids know what cassette tapes are, do you?
I'm old enough somehow.
Okay, cool. Well, and that's I've always kind of done it. I feel that it's an incredibly rewarding thing to do. And I also, I had a T-shirt printing business as well, so I'd print all our T-shirts and pretty much do everything. And now that recording you just heard was the first actual recording that I'd actually done myself for the band, and now we actually record all our own music. Yeah. So it's kind of basically me just trying to make sure that I have the ability to do everything for the band and leave it up to nobody else, pretty much.
Dependency.
And look, there's to me, the CDs that we give away, they're completely made by me as well.
I was watching a video that was on your website. It was like making the CDs and stuff. I found that really interesting because a lot of the time when you see bands giving out music for free, it's like an MP3 file online, but I saw like actually giving out physical CDs. I reckon that's really awesome. Yeah.
Well, your response there is kind of why I do it, because these days it is a rare thing to do. CDs are becoming less and less prevalent out there, and music itself is sort of changing or transforming. Once upon a time you had, let's go back a fair way, and it's still popular now, but when vinyl was the thing, music was a precious thing. It used to be carried around on a really precious conveyance that you had to look after, and therefore the music on it itself was also precious. Whereas now, with the ubiquitousness of... that's not even a word.
It's close. The ubiquity of music.
The ubiquity of music and the fact that you can get it basically anywhere for free has cheapened YouTube. Music itself. It's even less... It's cheaper than toilet paper now, basically. And I think it gets treated that way a lot by people who listen to it. And the reason that we put it out on CD, and we also get people to send us their address on social media, and we'll send them out copies, and I usually send them one, and I also send an additional one, and I want them to pass that on.
Yeah, pass it to a mate.
And there's many reasons for it, but one of the main ones is, what do you get in the mail these days?
Well, I don't get anything.
Most people don't get
things
anything
from eBay.
Stuff
that you buy, but most of the time it's bills or it's
bills
junk
and
mail
stuff.
and shit. No one gets a letter in the mail or anything addressed to them that's kind of cool that they're not really expecting, I guess. And so we've sort of want to counter that by having these things turn up in the mail, and when people get them, they're instantly there's an emotion attached to it that they don't normally get if they were to just hear it online or possibly see a link for our music online and go, oh yeah, okay, I'll click on that. Maybe they might listen to it for 10 seconds and go, hey, it's cool, it's all right, I suppose. Cool. But when it comes to them on a CD in the mail, there's a different sort of feeling that is attached to it. So.
Does it, speaking of that emotion, so obviously vinyl back in the day actually, I guess, reflected how much time and money and effort goes into that music, because vinyls, were expensive and people thought them as precious. I mean, back then people still had mixtapes which they passed around for free.
Yes.
That's kind of what it is like today with online. Does it kind of pain you to think that all this music you're putting so much time and money on? I mean, you kind of have to adapt to survive, but at the same time, you don't want to just... You feel like you're giving your art away for free.
Well, there's different ways to look at it.
Yeah.
These days, you kind of have to treat your music, well, you don't have to, but I like to anyways, try and treat it like promotion, basically, like advertising. And that you're not just promoting the music per se, but you're promoting the brand of the band, so you're promoting Never itself, and you're hoping that the music that we sort of give away will encourage people to come to shows and will encourage people to buy t-shirts,
buy merch.
And merchandise is obviously something you can't download a t-shirt. You can make a t-shirt at home. You can.
3D printing.
Shitty textures and
wait till 3D printing.
I know, it's coming. Possibly. But it's a long way off before people can make them. I can make my own t-shirts because I've got a t-shirt making setup. But yeah, you usually can't make your own t-shirt at home. So that's where, bands have had to adapt, and I guess that's just the way it is. It's with all the wonderful technology that we've been given, especially as bands. I mean, there's so many things open to us now that we couldn't once do, and so much more control that we have over our art that we didn't necessarily have before. There's pros and cons to both situations, basically, but it is what it is. And if you don't adapt, then you probably won't... You'll probably die. I don't know.
I think we have time for just one more question. I think Ellen has it.
Yeah. So you're currently recording Volume 3, the next installment. What can fans expect to hear on this album?
Okay. Well, it'll be another 3 songs, which will make the Volume 3. So basically what we've done, Volume 1 was 3 songs. Then Volume 2 was 7, because there was another 3 plus another additional single that we put out on its own. And then the next one will have 3. So Volume 3 will have 10 songs. It'll basically be an album's worth of material. And we decided that we'd put all the old songs from the first ones onto the same disc, so that once you get the new one, you don't have to keep looking for the old ones, and it's all on the one disc, basically. And the next one's got, well, it's pretty special to us, actually. On Saturday, I've got a very special guest coming down from Sydney to do some guest vocals on the record, and it's actually a song that he wrote. And his name's Dave Tice, and he's from a band called Buffalo. If you remember the last time we were here, it was actually advertising our very first gig with Dave. And so we're doing a cover of a Buffalo song called Freedom, and he's coming down to do guest vocals on it on the weekend, and also do some shooting for a film clip for it as well. So,
awesome.
Which is pretty cool, because he's a guy that I look up to immensely. He was Buffalo, pretty much the first heavy metal band in Australia. They were around in the early 70s. They were pretty much Australia's answer to Black Sabbath, and in my opinion, they were better than Black Sabbath. So it's pretty cool.
I'd say at the moment your opinion is law.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, you're in the bands. We're not in the bands.
No. We're gonna finish with a song by the Black Swamp. This is Purge from their, I think it's upcoming album called I Am, and you'll be playing with these guys.
Yes, we'll be playing with them on the 4th of November if you want to come see a quality night. It's free too, by the way. So yeah, no excuses there, and it's a really cool pub with good food. 4th of November, Retreat Hotel.
Thank you very much for coming on.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Moshpit Backstage podcast. You can subscribe to us on iTunes and Omni. To find out more about the show, go to www.syn.org.au/moshpit. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/moshpitonsin, and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at moshpitsin. The regular Moshpit radio show broadcasts punk, rock, and metal tunes and interviews every Thursday nights on SYN 9.7 on FM and digital radios. Listeners outside of Melbourne, Australia can stream SYN 9.7 online at www.syn.org.au. Thanks to Vintage Ruin for the music.
Hi, this is Tommaso from Flashgun Apocalypse.
Hi, I'm Enid from Girls School.
I am Phoebe Pinnock from Heaven the Axe.
Hey, this is Gary Oldmead of the Misfits.
Hey, this is Kat Sproul from Horizon's Edge, and you're listening to the Moshpit on SYN FM.
Hi, this is Einar from Leopard.
Hi, I'm Virginia Lilly from the band Lily.
This is Raul from 1349.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Ali from Beaverhead.
Hey, everybody, this is Charlie Benante with Anthrax, and you are listening to the Moshpit on SYN.